Today's bonus episode of HIPcast is brought to you by Enterprise Social Record. Work with Enterprise Social Record, a health information professional-led company, to support or build your SDOH program. From data acquisition through evidence-based screenings to codification of statuses and conditions, or what we refer to in the industry as Z-codes. ESR Ecosystem provides a flexible platform and a framework for SDOH programs for health plans, physicians, and hospitals. Work with a team that understands health information, data management, data governance, interoperability, fraud, waste, and abuse, Medicare, Medicaid, and payer audits. Let ESR help identify needs and availability of resources specific to your community to help drive value-based care where you live and serve. We connect those in your care to community resources. As a value add, ESR provides de-identified and aggregated data to municipalities to support resource planning in cities and counties. For more information, visit www.enterprisesr.com or by phone at 844-736-4377, extension 701.
Well, welcome to the show, Dr. Klauer. I know we'll call you Kevin after we get you introduced. Thank you for joining us today.
I am so glad to be here with you, but I do need to make a disclaimer here before we get started. Seth, you were kind enough to call this a bonus edition or issue. Let's let people decide after you publish this, because I don't know if there's going to be that much value with what I say. We'll focus on what you and Shannan have to say.
Fair enough.
Fair enough, but we're really mostly going to ask you questions, so we let the membership get to know you. So we're excited to get to know you. Also, thankfully, I've gotten to know you a couple of times. I've been honored to have some time with you, get to know you for a couple of different opportunities there. So I'm going to read your bio. So I don't really love reading to the screen, but I'm going to go ahead and read your bio so we can kind of kick this off. Dr. Kevin Klauer is the Chief Executive Officer of AHIMA. He formerly served as Health System Chief Medical Officer at HCA Florida and Ocala Hospitals. He was CEO of the American Osteopathic Association and the Chief Medical Officer and Chief Risk Officer for Team Health. He holds the following faculty appointments: Clinic Assistant Professor or Associate Professor, I'm assuming, at Michigan State University College of Osteopathic Medicine. Clinical Associate Professor, Ohio University Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine. He is the co-author of 4 risk management books: Bounce Backs, Critical Care Bounce Backs, Pediatrics Emergency Medicine, Bounce Backs, Medical and Legal and Risk Management, and the Emergency Department Executive Leadership for Protecting Patients in Hospitals. Dr. Klauer also served as the American College of Emergency Physicians Council Speaker and subsequently as a member of their board of directors. Dr. Klauer earned his executive JD with honors from Concord Law School in 2011. So I've got to ask, we have Michigan and Ohio, but at least it's Michigan State, right?
Right. No, not intended to create controversy, but there's always a question that comes up. Yeah, I'm a Buckeye.
Oh, okay.
Oh, gosh.
Hey,
sorry, we are very much. Yeah, we're all SEC down here. Okay, already your points are already in the negative, Dr. Klauer.
Be a Buckeye and a Spartan, so I'm going to play both sides of this.
Okay. That's better. That's better. Well, so we are so happy that you're here with us, and we will refer to you for the rest of the show as Kevin. Thank you for that, for letting us do that. That's wonderful. I find you to be personable. I've had the opportunity to talk with you a couple of times, and we're excited to get to know you. So just for the listeners today, Dr. Klauer, in case you're not an AHIMA person or in case you just don't look at social media ever, Dr. Klauer is newly appointed as the CEO of AHIMA. And so he's really just been with us for probably six weeks or so. Is that right? No, maybe not even.
Before. I'm not even at the end until 5 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. Eastern, so 4 weeks.
But yeah, I'm in my 4th week right now, so it is certainly
okay. Brand new. Very, very new. There's so many things happening in healthcare, and plus post-COVID, I can't keep a timeline straight anyway. So today we're going to talk about, just get to know you, talk about your past experiences, talk about what you have, what you hope to accomplish at AHIMA, for the membership, for the profession, and just kind of walk through. I kind of like to throw a couple of zingers at you if we get to them. One of them, I'll give you a little bit of just prep for what has surprised you about AHIMA or the membership since you got here. Now, don't answer that yet. So let me see if you can multitask and you can answer that later. So welcome, Seth. Seth, what about you? You think you have a zinger you could throw at Kevin?
I'm sure there's a few that's going to come up in the conversation.
Okay, that's awesome.
I'm going to tell you what, my internet connection is going to get very unstable very fast.
I love it. It's great.
That's fully understandable. Like you're driving through a tunnel, and we get that. So, Shannan read your bio, and I pulled that off of the AHIMA website from a fresh, updated website with our new CEO. But yeah, that's a little too formal for us as East Tennesseans. Just tell us about yourself. Tell the membership what we should know about Kevin Klauer, and then secondary question to that would be, what's your experience with health information as a profession and the wonderful health information professionals in the world?
Well, that's right. I'll try and answer them. Please feel free to redirect me anytime you like. But is there anything you should know about me beyond I am committed to this mission and vision and really want to serve all of you the best that I can? No, I mean, quite honestly, that gets down to what's the most important thing. Who I am personally, well, you want to know that there's some substance behind the bio. I wish we didn't have to read that either. That is a painful process. But it does, give people a sense of what my professional background is. So I did grow up in the suburbs of Chicago. I'll fast forward. I did go to North Central College after starting at Eastern Illinois. I then went to North Central College and finished my undergraduate degree there. A lot of people don't know this, but I was a paramedic and a firefighter, and carried that over into medical school in Des Moines, Iowa, where I functioned with a volunteer fire department and a paramedic service, until I went to Charity Hospital in New Orleans, which was a culture shock for me at the time, growing up in the Midwest, but got my 4-year emergency medicine training at Charity Hospital in New Orleans, LSU, which was a wonderful opportunity. At that time, it's just kind of interesting to note, it was the oldest operating hospital in the nation, the largest emergency medicine program, and the busiest emergency department in the nation. So what a wonderful place. We had our daughter there. So in my last year there, we had our daughter, and that was a wonderful thing. And she is an artist. You can see some of her art. This is actually from high school, but she's 28 now. She's an amazing artist, very successful, doing a great job. So excited about where she has gone and where she's going with her art. The reason I mention that is I have to believe that somewhere in her DNA, the culture of New Orleans and Louisiana was infused there. Because she has such a creative spirit, and she is very entrepreneurial on top of it, that she's not waiting for the world to come to her. She is bringing her art to the world and making a difference, and I am so proud of her. My other two I'm very proud of as well. I've got a 26-year-old son who's getting his PhD in chemical engineering. It's a bit of an oversimplification. It's a bit more nuanced than that, but that's basically the general field it's in. And he's going to get married coming up here in about a month. Really excited about that as well. And introducing his wonderful bride-to-be, Becca, to our family. So Alyssa's our daughter, Ross is our middle son, Becca is his fiance, and Sam is our youngest. He's 22, soon to be 23. And less than a week ago, he left for Brisbane, Australia to do a master's in bioinformatics.
Oh,
So
wow.
we liked it internationally. So he went to do that. He just graduated in June from Caltech.
That's awesome.
So when, going back to, my background a bit, as I worked through, after following my education, as I worked through multiple leadership roles and clinical roles, I definitely saw the need for appropriate clinical documentation improvement. And I saw the value also, and this may sound cliche for this podcast, but really making sure that accurate and meaningful documentation occurs, certainly for claim submission, but also as a risk manager for many years of my career, and still have a passion for that area, creating a record that you can defend that accurately reflects what actually occurred in the care that's delivered. That is all in the domain of HIM. And certainly I spent a fair amount of time with making sure that documentation standards and compliance were maintained in the groups that I worked for. So I won't go through all the professional background, but in Ohio, a former group called Emergency Medicine Physicians, now they've restructured under U.S. Acute Care Solutions. I was their chief medical officer, and I was primarily responsible, among other things, for their critical care coding and several of the compliance areas with coding, including working with administrative law judges to defend those denials with payers, et cetera. And with Team Health, a much larger organization, that was part of my role as CMO and Chief Risk Officer to work with our team regarding clinical documentation, claim submission, accuracy, audits, and making sure that we were certainly documenting everything appropriately to make sure that we could bill to get reimbursed properly, but to never overclaim anything and to never overstep, and to make sure that we were following rigorous guidelines from a compliance standpoint. So did I ever do what all of you do with the background and the expertise that you have? Not even close. Do I have an appreciation and a fundamental understanding of it? Absolutely. And I know that that was a long-winded answer. And Seth, I don't know if I got to the root of everything you asked, but I have to say this on the front end of this discussion, if you don't mind. You know, my background, I'm fortunate that I've been given some great opportunities by some very, very generous people. And particularly in healthcare, it's given me some broad experience and hopefully some expertise along the way. One of the least valuable things, I think, for all of you, or maybe I'll restate that. One of the lesser reasons why I'm at AHIMA is because I happen to be a physician. We all have backgrounds in healthcare. Mine happens to be being a physician, an emergency physician, and a leader in healthcare. I think where that takes me to all of you and where there's value and benefit is because of the breadth of experience and the depth of experience it has given me in healthcare, which can help to position AHIMA and the health information management community in a broader space and more visibly. But it has nothing to do with me being a physician. And I know that for some people, and I will just call this out, that makes them perhaps a little uncomfortable. That why would a physician need to be in a leadership role with AHIMA? Well, they don't. This one happens to be a physician. But with my background in association management, and I will humbly say a successful background there in challenging times and certainly complicated environments, combined with the healthcare experience and a real excitement for strategic vision, makes this a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me. And I hope an exciting time for AHIMA.
I think that was a very good answer. I do want to add one question to that that sparked my mind with your interaction between health information professionals and your time practicing medicine. Were you ever suspended for not completing your charts?
There.
Close. No. Actually, no, I was not. Did I have a relationship? And I will tell you, I will share this with you. You know, the way I handled a lot of my records, right, wrong, good, or bad, I'm not asking for judgment here, is when the emergency department would get busy, and I worked in some pretty busy places, the only thing I could control from a workflow standpoint, at least in volume, was the paperwork. So when I got to a critical point in my shift where patients were going to have to wait for me to do documentation, I would take notes and I would complete as many charts as I could at the end of the shift. But at some point, listen, you're just fatigued. So frequently at the end of a week or the end of a month, it wasn't longer than that, I knew I had some outstanding records. And rarely someone will remind me I'd have some outstanding records. And I would come in and spend 3-4 hours or whatever I needed to finish them. From me, and I will share this with you, and I've also shared this with my HM professionals, even when I worked at HCA most recently. Health information professionals should not be regulators. They should be a resource to make things easier, better. There's nobody who doubts in healthcare that you have to document the care that's provided, and you have to document it well. And safeguarding that and making sure that it's done effectively and appropriately certainly is executed and adjudicated by health information management people, but they are so frequently looked at negatively because that imposes work on people, but it's work that they already had. So for me, I was thankful that, hey, thank you. Can I get some space set aside? Can I come get my charts? Are you going to be ready? I will. If you can pull them for me, I'll be there. When they used to pull paper charts, I will be there at this time. And thank you for doing it. Or let me know when you'll have it, and then I'll come. And then certainly when we moved into more of a digital age, being able to do that either remotely or even just at a workstation, it worked out great. So great. Not only respect, but also affection for health information management professionals. And I never cared for the lack of respect or the treatment that they were given by people who really should have known to do their work anyway.
A couple of things there, Kevin. Thank you so much for that. A couple of things. First of all, thanks for hitting head on that you are a physician who happens to be in this role. That's awesome. Second, I love that you're preaching that health information professionals should be a resource and not a regulator. If you could take that gospel and mix it with HIM is not a revenue producing center and make sure that people and CFOs understand that we are revenue producing and cost avoidance, that'd be awesome. Like if that's the only thing you do while you're in your tenure at AHIMA, like we would be celebrating, okay? Because CFOs
and we will propagate this truth as spoken by you, Shannan Swafford. But
there you go, I love it.
But what's interesting, I know you kind of say that tongue in cheek, and I know it's really important, though. It's an important message.
It is.
We've had some really engaging and exciting conversations with our Department of Communications and Marketing, too. And what I find is a fascinating observation, right or wrong, and I may be completely inaccurate here at 4 weeks in. But I find our approach to communication a bit mirrors our approach in healthcare. Our people are longing and looking for more and a louder voice and to claim their space in healthcare and HIM. But we have historically served in a supportive role and accepted that. Our communication, I think, I'll tell you what, our people, I'm so excited about the wonderful team that I'm able to work with. I'm going to tell you, they are amazing. And this communications, marketing, public relations, et cetera team is top notch. But they are given the voice of the organization to communicate with. Do you know what I mean? And the voice of the profession. I think we have been mirroring what people want to move away from. And I'm excited to amplify our voice, this HIM professional voice, and use our platform to speak loudly and clearly to move the agenda forward. So in other words, we shouldn't always be supportive of somebody's advocacy mission. Yes, we can be, but we need to seek support for ours. We need to speak from a position of authority, not a position of support. And where people are frustrated that they aren't recognized necessarily for the value that they bring to healthcare, we need to make sure that AHIMA's platform moves this profession into the light that it deserves so that people get the respect that they deserve in healthcare. Tell me today in the digital age, how much healthcare can be delivered without adequate health information management, health information professionals? It cannot happen.
No, cannot.
We're not
absolutely.
We're critical.
We are mission critical, and we do appreciate that. Seth and I are about to start, saying hallelujah.
We're going to get into Old Southern Church here soon.
You let me know, but I see opportunity here.
It's great.
And I'm inspired to support all of you who've been so kind to be humble for decades. And there's nothing wrong with having humility, but you don't have to be submissive to be humble.
That's right.
I think people are looking for more, and I think you deserve it. And I think AHIMA can mobilize its resources to do that, but to also serve a more meaningful purpose in all of your professional lives. I sense a little bit of distance, not a lot, a little distance between what AHIMA does and the membership and the professional value that it brings. But I see such great opportunity of what it can be without much work. And this great staff and team are positioned to do it. The tone and the posture of our communication, when and where we speak, and about what is about to change.
That's excellent. That's wonderful. We hope to see that coming to life very soon. That's incredible. I'll tell you, I have been on the nominating committee for AHIMA this is my 3rd year. I'm the chair this year. And I say that to point out, I have seen for 2 years now, this is my 3rd, incredible skilled professionals that we have interviewed and vetted through the process of being on CCHIM and CEE and the board of directors and president of AHIMA and the House of Delegates speaker and nominating committee itself. And we have skilled, incredible leaders across this country. And I will agree with you that our voice is not heard the same as what it actually represents. So I'm cheering you on as you take this mission, and like I will support that mission daily if that's what we need to do to make that happen. But moving into kind of taking that mission, so maybe I'll kind of lean into the next question. What drew you to AHIMA, besides maybe us stalking you? I'm not sure, but what drew you to AHIMA? And then also talk a little bit about, you and I spoke a little bit before about the difference in the governing structure for AHIMA, and we have, we have the component associations, and we have the House of Delegates, and we govern in a particular way with the board as a separate entity. And then you have experience with other types of governing structures in your associations. Can you talk some about that? First, what drew you, and then those structures.
Sure. Do I have a second or two to follow up on some of the wonderful things you said?
Absolutely.
You're right. And thank you for your service on the nominating committee, but now as chair, and I've witnessed your leadership. You do such a wonderful job. And this kind of does in part answer at least some of the reason why I came to AHIMA. Does everyone realize the pedigree and the quality of the individuals who are elected leaders, appointed leaders, and those of you in the membership? It is absolutely impressive. The educational background, the professional expertise. And to that end, I will tell you, this morning I was asked to draft my first 200-word welcoming set of comments for the e-newsletter to the membership. Do you know the first 2 words I used in that? And this was not led by this podcast because I've already sent it. It's gone. It's being formatted. I'll give you the first one. It's dear. The second one is what?
I hope it's member.
No, it's colleague.
Colleague. Ooh,
I like it.
I thought it was going to be, member. Oh no, what have I done? That was.
Again,
I like it.
Wrong. That's what I feel. We're colleagues. We come from different educational backgrounds at different places. I recognize the value, and that's why I wanted to tell you that, because that wasn't driven by anyone. Actually, I appreciate it. I don't mean this in a denigrating sense at all, but there are great people that do writing, and I did get an initial first draft. It's just always been a style of mine. If I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to be genuine with all of you, no one can write with consistency or truth with my tone. So I didn't use that. I wrote that all myself. And the first part was, yeah, I mean it. These are my colleagues in maybe a different aspect, maybe not a colleague in the practice of clinical emergency medicine or some other phase of healthcare delivery. But in this aspect of healthcare delivery and in global healthcare delivery, absolutely. Yeah. And we stand at the same level in the healthcare system. And I want people to realize that that's the way I view you. So I thought when you said that, I thought maybe I'll tell you that even without any inspiration other than my own, I've chose to lead off that statement with dear colleague. So there's probably is time. If I got it wrong, tell me. We'll pause right now and I will tell them to put something else in there.
I like it. I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
It's a message approved for HIPcast.
Another thing I will say, and I'm not trying to get away from your question. So you said, well, hopefully some of that tone and posture will change. It already has. I was in my first week, and I won't go through all the details in the interest of time here, but there was an advocacy piece expertly crafted by our DC advocacy and health policy team. Wonderful team.
Amazing.
Lauren Ripplinger. I mean, they do a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I sensed and I felt that tone. I guess I don't have a better way to word it. It felt a bit submissive to me when I know that we can be speaking from a position of authority, not rudeness, not arrogance, but authority with humility. And so the ask and where we were going to be, it was actually, I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was a letter to CMS about Health and Human Services about ICD-11. And there was an ask later in the letter. So, well, why don't we move the ask up? And I drafted a little piece to put in there as well, that we are the international leaders in health information, something like this, in health information. And we were very instrumental in the transition to ICD-10.
Absolutely.
We strongly suggest that CMS and Health and Human Services employ AHIMA and its leadership to help guide the nation in this transition.
Absolutely.
And what those letters I learned used to, not right or wrong, not good or bad, again, just an observation. I'm only 4 weeks in. Those letters generally went out from the CEO of AHIMA. I said, well, we have a wonderful and duly elected president. And that person's credentials, every single year there's a president, they have amazing credentials. But Mona's credentials are impeccable.
Mm-hmm.
They
If
are.
it helps to have my name on the letter because it gives strength to it, do it. But otherwise, I believe the president to be the primary spokesperson of AHIMA. They're elected by the membership. And so we've now turned that over to be a dual signature, not from the CEO. That makes the most sense. So again, not inspired by any external motivation other than what I feel to be right based on what the membership should expect, what the president should expect, and who's really representing this professional community. Can I really represent everything that is AHIMA and the HIM community 4 weeks in? Absolutely not. That is ridiculous. I don't claim anything other than have passion to get this right and to serve all of you. And I'm going to acquire information quickly to get it done. So I wanted to share that with you, that it's already happening, and I hope you start to see it. But you will never see that letter. It won't go out to the general populace, but that is the new tone in DC with how we're communicating. All right. Now
That's awesome. I will follow up just to say, Kevin, I will follow up to say this is the second time that HIPcast has said everybody should be so lucky as AHIMA to have a Lauren Ripplinger because she's amazing.
Right.
Amazing.
She
is incredible. I don't know where we would be without her from a policy standpoint as a profession and as an organization. She's incredible. So I appreciate that the tone has changed. I have a million things that I'd like to add about the clinical modification of ICD-11, but we're going to have to. Yes, we'll have to. But I'll go back to the governing question, kind of what drew you to AHIMA, and then like the difference in maybe the governing structures of us versus other organizations. But I appreciate what you're saying about who we are and about what our voices sounded like and about what our voice should sound like. Like that really resonates with us.
Well, thank you.
I'm
And I do think it's from the heart, and I do mean it. And if I were here to tell you that I know everything about AHIMA and I've got my arms around all that I should at this point, you should heavily discount that and you should be really worried. I don't. But what I am telling you are the things that I do believe, and I think the directions we can go and the things that are already happening. And it's really inspired by, your question, what drove me here? I was not professionally stalked, but I was asked, and I was not looking for a role. I was happy where I was at, and I was doing meaningful work that I really valued. But this mission and the opportunity, along with the people, really impressed me. So, I was first contacted, by Korn Ferry, and I'm like, well, the first thing I've always done, and I've actually mentored people in this regard. If you are considering a job or a career and you've not looked at an organization's mission, how do you know you can even work for those people? They may not be executing exactly to it, who does, with great precision and perfection. I don't know, but we have to aspire to it. But you have to know what they're trying to do. First thing I did, empowering people to impact health. Yeah. This is not compelling doctors to finish their charts.
That's right.
Stop the nonsense. Right. There is such an important mission here. And wow, and the vision is expansive. I'm not going to go through all the details, but the vision is expansive, and it's for a greater future, for not only healthcare delivery, for those who provide it and those who safeguard the creation and the use and the safe use of records, but it's also how can we make things better for patients and help to create a better healthcare system for healthcare consumers, patients. I looked at these two as great possibilities, and I'm like, in combination and meeting the right people, wow, this can be really, really amazing. Yeah. I see that they want this to be something so much more. And this is right at an inflection point where the healthcare industry needs so much more, and it needs assistance and guidance and strategic vision over this area. Yeah, this is not a utility. This is an opportunity. This is not like the water at the hospital where you also have, medical records and health information. No, this is an opportunity to get healthcare right and do a better job for other people. And I will just share with you, without me expanding too much further, the things that started to come to my mind. And I'm still very, very enthusiastic about this. AHIMA does not have a healthcare consumer or patient-facing stance. I can't say that that's going to be a strategy that will be successful, but I will guarantee you the team already knows we're absolutely going to explore it. What if patients look to us to understand their records and how to access their records and their rights? Hospitals don't have time to do that every single time, and there's not necessarily someone out there advocating for them on a regular basis who knows this space. Certainly, consumer organizations will advocate in general, but why can't we advocate for them to have better health through better technology and better access through their own health information that they own and don't even realize it half the time? So the mission and the vision were so inspiring to me, which created great opportunity. The HC Pro acquisition, certainly with any acquisition, there's risk. I don't see the risk at this point. It's material or substantive. I see there's great opportunity. And as we really optimize its assimilation into AHIMA to provide more and higher quality education, to have an enhancement, if possible, and an expansion of our certifications and provide better service for people. We are a service organization. So HC Pro has to make it better for our members and the HIM professional community. That's what it has to do. And then we also have to make sure that we get the economies of scale that you would expect with any acquisition so that we can be more efficient and better stewards of the members' dollars that they've paid in for years and turn that into more resources and more activities, products, services, and member value for them. So to be able to have all of this on the verge of being something incredible, built on something that's already amazing, was really too much to not consider. And again, I just have to say, I kept meeting people, and I will put the two of you in that context now. I met, Shannan a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and Seth, I'm meeting you today. The people I've met in this professional community and the leaders within AHIMA, they further inspire me to do this work on behalf of you. This is important work. And all of us can make the world better tomorrow than it was yesterday if we focus our energies through this association.
Very good. Well, I will say,
right.
You mentioned the HC Pro and the education side. That's a hornet's nest that's about to be kicked. So be prepared.
You brought it up. We didn't.
There's some challenges there, right? Because Shannan and I are very.
It's a problem.
It's hard.
That was a joke, but anyway. I know we're trying to have some fun and have some conversation back and forth. But I will tell you, honestly, anyone who has brought up any concern to me, I want to let them know, whether it's today or if it's my 10th year here, I want to hear anyone's concerns or issues or complaints. The positives, we have them too. That's great. We can build on those, but we can't serve you better if we don't know. So I've been behind the scenes very involved with becoming educated about some of the concerns that people have and how the work is done and the independence of decision-making authority that we know through the bylaws is afforded to CCHIM, but we have the obligation that AHIMA has to ask the right questions to make sure that the right conclusions are drawn and communicating that effectively. And without going into further detail, and we'll go if you want to, but we could have communicated CCHIM's wishes and plans a bit better. And we're going to do that better going forward. And we're in the process of doing that now. But everything we do has to be tested against, does this benefit the professional community? Do the moves we make elevate their credentials, make it more prominent, really protect their practice environment and their careers? And I've asked the staff to do it, and everything we do needs to be focused on. And I will tell you, the questions and the comments, wonderful, that so many people have received, and the frustration, the engagement through that has prompted the whole educational component to be included into the strategic plan, which is almost at its final draft for the board to finalize as it's working through the strategic planning process. It's been quite some time. The reason I tell you that is, I know it's a hornet's nest. It's one that I personally welcome because people are frustrated. Some are even angry. But you know what? They're not disengaged. They want better service. They want to be heard. What a wonderful opportunity. If they just turned AHIMA off and walked away, that's when we lose. The opposite of love is not hate. It's disengagement. And there are some people who are justifiably frustrated and want something different. Well, good. Then we need to engage with those people and listen and do the very best. We can't make it right for everybody. We can't solve every problem, but I will tell you what we need to be committed to trying, and we need to be committed to listening. Because there are a lot of people out there, and I'm sure if you make perhaps one group of people happy, maybe it doesn't completely satisfy another group. But to not have them adequately heard, to not try, are two things that won't happen, at least as best as I can prevent it.
Yeah. Well, that's spot on, and I appreciate you addressing it, because it is a hornet's nest, and you're speaking to two component state association fans. Like,
champions,
I love the state of Tennessee. This podcast goes to the benefit of our state association's foundation that does scholarships and education for our students. That's why we do this. It's not for Shannan or I. It's for our profession and for our state association. So I appreciate that. And as we come towards the ending of our time, I will ask, you mentioned the strategic plan. What is your vision? You've touched on several really fun things. I'm curious, as a closing comment, what is your vision for AHIMA going forward?
Well, I mean, my vision is to serve in my role to serve the board. I work for them. And through that service, to make sure that the staff is serving them and the vision that they direct us to execute on. And of course, we're all beholden to the mission and the vision. So my guardrails are very clear. My directives are very clear. The board has been wonderful, and they've invited me in as a strategic leader to assist with this process as well. Knowing that, hey, I may not have good ideas, but I may generate some good conversation. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. And they are also volunteer leaders. They have wonderfully important roles outside of AHIMA. So we've gathered all this information. I don't know the exact length of time, but I think it's been a year, maybe even more, and it's being assimilated. I believe the service that I need to provide our board is really listening, taking all this information and data, and drafting something that they can react to, poke holes in, completely reject, or whatever they need to create their strategic plan to direct this association to do the work it wants them and us to do, in service of all of you who elected them. Yeah, so very, very important. So we are, like I said, at the completion of assembling a draft for consideration by multiple internal stakeholder groups, staff included. The staff need to be engaged because they will do the work at the tactic level, which is the daily work and the annual work that needs to get done. So after a 3 or a 5 year plan, I'm guessing most likely a 3-year plan, that the right things will be accomplished, and we will all be proud, and all of you will see a difference, and you'll be thankful. Strategic planning has two options, in my opinion, Seth. It can be a feel-good exercise that makes people feel great about what they could be and could do, and it gets set on the shelf, and it doesn't get looked at until you're ready to do it again. Or this can be a strategic document to direct and guide us to a better place, and that place defined by us. Well, I really have adopted the latter many years ago. So if you take a look at what we're looking at now, as of this morning, it is a 10-page draft, which includes strategic objectives, strategic priorities, goals, and then tactics. And the tactics have to be actionable and measurable. Otherwise, everything is just aspirational. And I will tell you the strategic objectives, and they could, this has not been approved, but the board has spoke favorably about the strategic objectives. So I feel comfortable speaking to this, but it is their strategic plan that we are assisting them to create. So I won't speak beyond this at this point, but here you go. You ready? Here are the 5. This is what's going to guide us to a better place in service of all of you. Build brand and increase influence. Number 2, elevate and broaden the profession. Number 3, demonstrate exceptional financial stewardship. Again, if we don't have outstanding operations and we create waste in the system, then we waste resources that we could have deployed to help all of you. Number 4, embed culture and values into our daily work. Again, our team has to be inspired by the work as much as I am, hopefully more than I am. That's going to be hard to do, though. Number 5, you might really like this one. Commit to innovation and performance excellence. Innovation means what are the new things we can do? Performance excellence is, hey, listen, if we've got outdated educational content in our tokens, let's get rid of it and let's update it. We need to work with others to help us compile that. Let's work with others. Let's not be too proud. If we need to update how we do competency assessment with certifications and credentials, let's do it. Let's make this what people want it to be, based on the vision that the board is giving us of what it should be.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So we appreciate your candor. We appreciate you addressing things that we had no plans to ask you about, and just hitting those things head on. That's amazing and wonderful. I'll tell you, every health information person who has ever worked in a what we would have previously considered a traditional setting, I blew that up because I think wherever health information lives is traditional and we should be everywhere. But if you've worked in a medical records or a health information department, you already know the three types of physicians. The one that you said that you're like, I'll call ahead, ask you to get my charts out. There's the one that we pull the charts, they're there, they're going to come in, it's going to get on time, no big deal. Then there's the one that you're sending the letters, you're going to get suspended if you're not here by noon to get this finished, right? So you sound like our physician champion. We all need a physician champion, right? As health information professionals, you sound like our physician champion. What I will test you against is, let's make sure you're not that guy holding up the DNFB, okay?
Yeah.
Be your operational champion for AHIMA.
I love it. I love it.
How can we serve you better? Because that's what this is all about. And if we ever lose our way, or if we've lost our way in some ways already, let us know, and we'll work toward recalibrating that and getting it right on track to make sure that everyone feels like there's great value in AHIMA. So when you're busy doing your great work, you know that someone is busy doing their great work supporting you.
Thanks so much, Kevin. We appreciate your time today. Seth?
Thank you.
It's been great.
And I loved it. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, it's been a fun episode, and today's bonus episode of HIPcast was brought to you by Enterprise Social Record. Work with Enterprise Social Record, a health information professional-led company to support or build your SDOH program. From data acquisition through evidence-based screenings to codification of statuses and conditions, or what we refer to in the industry as Z-codes, ESR Ecosystem provides a flexible platform and a framework for SDOH programs for health plans, physicians, and hospitals. Work with a team that understands health information, data management, data governance, interoperability, fraud, waste, and abuse, Medicare, Medicaid, and payer audits. Let ESR help identify needs and availability of resources specific to your community to help drive value-based care where you live and serve. We connect those in your care to community resources. As a value add, ESR provides de-identified and aggregated data to municipalities to support resource planning in cities and counties. For more information, visit www.enterprisesr.com or by phone at 844-736-4377, extension 701. Shannan, until next time, my friend.
See you next time, buddy.